So to give you an idea, this is what we're building. That is two 4x8 racks that are sharing a center column, which is actually permitted by the manufacturer's install instructions. And that's what it's going to look like when it's all done. So it's going to be tucked away, hidden under the garage. You can't see it from the street, and I think it looks pretty good in my opinion. So we are installing two 4x8 racks that should total 16 foot in length. So we have to figure out if 16 feet is going to fit between the garage door supports. We also have to make sure there's no interference with lights, garage door openers, and which way are the joists running? Are they I-beams? Because if they're I-beams, we are going to have to install blocking, and that's no fun. So first step is to put away your pride and get out the manufacturer installation instructions. There may be something in here that you may not have accounted for or a requirement that could create a hazard in the future, so follow these babies to a T. Here's one simple tip that will upgrade you from amateur to pro, and that is laying out all your materials on cardboard or on a blanket, anything to keep them from getting scratched. Do not lay them on the ground where they're going to get scratched up. You're working with the finished product and you want it to look beautiful. Trust me, this is very important. So you're looking at the most important and the most time-consuming part of this project, and that is laying it out and seeing if this is going to fit per what the customer wants. And I'm giving them a couple options. The little yellow plastic devices on the ceiling are study buddies that are held on by magnets to the screws in the joists. And I'm saying, hey, you can put it on where this green laser line is, or I can put it back there where the yellow one is. I got to get everyone on board before I go bolting things to the ceiling so there's no misunderstandings and everyone is happy. Now that the layout is approved, I can get the tools. This is a drill bit per the manufacturer's specs and a driver to fit the lag bolts, and we're ready to start this process. As you can see, I'm using a different type of stud finder here. There's multiple stud finders if you're working with plaster, drywall, whatever it is. This one actually senses electricity. You can see I'm near the garage door opener, so I'm just kind of using it as double checking. It's sensing electricity, so you just got to be careful. You got to know what you're drilling into. If you have a chance to go on the internet and watch every video there is about drilling into walls and missing pipes and electricity, go do it, because it can be a headache if you hit something that you're not wanting to hit. So I'm throwing up my magnetic study buddy. This is sitting on the drywall screws, like I said, and making a little mark with my pencil. And this is one of the brackets. So this is going to get lag bolted into our joist. And I want to make sure it's a perfect square, because these are a very finicky rack system that are going in. They have to be nice and square and true to fit this size. So after I get this lined up, I'm going to put one bolt in, set a laser, and try to get everything else lined up across the garage here. So I'm marking it with my drill bit. I'm removing the metal bracket out of the way. I'm pre-drilling it with the manufacturer specs drill bit, and then I will sink in my lag bolt. Here goes the lag bolt. We'll put one side in, and then we'll get everything lined up. On this one, I'm setting the second lag bolt, and there's a lot of different cross measuring you can do and making this perfectly square. The manufacturer specs actually laid that out pretty well, and I'm not going to show you all that, but you definitely want to be real precise with this and take your time. So if you're looking at this, you can see I've got the right rack bracket installed, and I have the vertical member coming down from that. I have the middle member installed above the garage door opener, and I'm working on the left-hand side. So you can see I have a laser. I brought two lasers with, which actually helps. If you have it, if not, you can do it completely without lasers. So you can see the vertical member on the far right that is hanging down from the ceiling bracket, and that is so I made sure everything is good with the garage clearance. That way I can pre-assemble all the vertical brackets to the right length and install all of them, put them up on my ladder to save a couple ladder trips, and have everything ready to go that way. Typically I also like to build all of these big rectangles on the ground and then lift them into place. This one I actually kind of built in the air, which you'll see. So something a little different, and it's good to always experiment and see what's going to save you on time. This worked a lot better doing it in the air than building it on the ground. Since I have my ladders in position, it's time to install all my vertical members. I'm going to kind of dry fit everything, make sure everything fits, because I am down to a horse's hair between these two garage brackets, and I'm hoping my math is correct. So I'm just going to lay everything in, make sure it fits, and then send it. If you have a level like this that has a magnet on it, you're really not going to need it right now, but what's nice is it will actually attach these vertical members so you can get them nice and plumb. However, I'm going to get all the horizontal bracketing in first, then plumb them and tighten it up. All of my vertical brackets are now installed, so it's time to get on the ground and get all my horizontals ready. Obviously, I'm measuring and remeasuring and hoping this will all fit since it's such a tight tolerance. I am assembling all the 8-foot long horizontal members on the ground right now and lifting them into place. And you're going to see I'm using two ladders here in a second to make things go easy with one person. So if you're like myself and you're used to working on projects all by yourself, you learn how to get by. And so having two ladders, I'm using this tall ladder. This doesn't look like it weighs a lot, but it probably weighs a good 40 pounds. It's a pretty heavy piece of metal. So I'm gonna set it over on the top of my ladder. I'll install one side and I'll come back over and install the other side. So it is what it is. I have built these rectangles on the ground and put them on like a dress and walked up the ladder and put them into all 4 of the holders. But based on the size of this rack, this is the method I chose, and also that they're not freestanding, they're kind of connected together. This worked out the best for this project. So just as I suspected, even though I measured again, I still had to move this center bracket over 1/4 inch and take everything down. So that will happen. With adjustments made, everything fits in. We're gonna have our 8-foot run all ready to go. And now we're gonna move over 4 foot and build the rest of this. So let's take a closer look at it. Pretty basic, pretty simple. However, I did screw this up. You can see that these big holes, I actually put the big holes down instead of up, as you can see right there. So I had to take all 3 of these brackets out. Also, these angle corner brackets, just wait until you get everything in and do that last, so you have a little give and play when you're trying to get all the pieces fitted in. Otherwise, it's kind of locked in place. So I do not suggest doing that first. And also pay attention to which way those holes are going. They should be down instead of up. So this is a rinse and repeat. However, the big thing is making this square. Now you can cross diagonally measure, which I don't even want to think about. If you measure off the walls are probably going to be crooked. Drywall is not perfect. Cement block is not perfect. So whatever it is that you are measuring, you might be able to get a rough idea, right? So this is a little bit forgiving on these. So I just measured 23 inches off the wall, made sure that worked. And that's basically it. Sank this in. If you had any issues, you can. It's forgiving enough, you can lift it off and move it. So it may not look like it from this video, but I am an OSHA authorized trainer for the construction industry, an OSHA 500. And what you can see I'm doing here is overreaching, and a belt fell off this ladder and landed on this guy's weight set a couple days before Christmas. It would not have been fun for my kids. So if you know anything about the Focus 4, the Fatal 4, falls are the #1 cause of injury and death in the construction industry. So just be careful with what you're doing. Take your time and don't go rushing through it. So now you can see I have the left and right sides boxed in with my 4-foot sections, and I have the front 16-foot or the 2 8-foot sections installed. I'm going to install the rear 8-foot sections, and it's time to close this thing up. Now you don't need any expensive lasers. Anything from Amazon will work, but it helps you get where you need to be. Now you need to have a front and rear marking. You don't want to just lay it on there because you can still lay a crooked line with a laser. So I'm basically marked one side, and then I went down 16 feet and marked the other side and laid my laser across it. But this way I can get my center mark and everything will line up correctly. So here's my ladder trick once again. Lay your big heavy piece of metal on there, insert one end, climb down the ladder. Try not to get hit in the head, make sure it's inserted well. I'm always worried about walking underneath something like that. And then come set the other end. Now that all my vertical and horizontal pieces are in place, I'm going to go through and plumb them and put in all of the brackets that are going to keep everything square. Now every single one of these kits is different. This one has these cross members that cross at the bottom, and also they're not bolted in the corners. They kind of fit into these little sectioned holes, which makes it more difficult because they tend to pop out a little bit. So anyways, just it is what it is. They're not all going to be the same. We have now arrived at the easy portion of this project, and that is installing all the racking. Going up and down the ladder, it would be better to have somebody hand it to me, but you got to think, if you're paying that person, you're going to do this job faster, but you're going to come out in the wash. So it's up to you. You want it done faster? Do you want to make a little extra money yourself? You have to kind of decide what you want to do. I like to stage all my pieces on the ladder if possible, so I don't have to make so many trips. But at this point, I'm over the hill. I'm not really thinking about anything. It's not a big deal. This project did take me 5 hours, so I did not beat my time. However, I did film this one. The last time I did this, it wasn't filmed. I'd have to say 5 hours for 2 4x8 racks that's about as fast as I can work with this to do it well and to do it right. Sure, you could rush through, but I'm checking for all the different things that need to be done correctly. I know it sounds silly. It should be like IKEA furniture, package it and put it up, but these can be a bit of a bear. So I did another set similar to these, except they weren't one long unit connected in the middle, and I charged $490 to put them up. After doing that one and taking this one on a few weeks later, I charged $350 each. So you're looking at $700 to do the set. At that point, I'm good making $140 an hour. It's covering everything here in Tampa, Florida. You have to pay for your insurance. You have to be away from your family for 5 hours. If you're doing this on the weekend, it just depends if you're doing this part-time or full-time. That's obviously up to you. But that's going to be my going rate to install these, because it is pretty physical. It is demanding. You can make mistakes. You can drill into electrical. If you were to put this in a ceiling, like I said before, that had I-joists, I-beams in it, and this pulled through and hurt somebody, land on a car, so there's a little bit of risk on that. Also, you're installing something overhead. So those are some of those things that you got to consider and think about. You're working on a ladder, you can fall and get hurt. All of these things need to be considered, but I don't mind making $700 in 5 hours. It's one way to do it. Anyway, so that is here over on the highly paid handyman. Some of you guys might be thinking, well, $700 is not really highly paid. I'm looking at making $75 an hour minimum, and that's kind of low. Anytime I hit that $100 and above, I can make it. If you're charging $100 an hour, well, in this 5 hour span, you only made $500. Or you can just stick around and take your time and do it for 7 hours and clear $700. But I'd rather have 2 more hours with my family and do it that way, or 2 more hours doing anything but installing a garage rack slowly. So that's kind of my 2 cents on if I'm charging per item. And you know what? My prices are going to keep going up when I realize this is a lot of work and they don't want to pay for it. You know, that's fine by me. You may not be my customer, and that's fine with me. So anyways, hopefully this helps some of you that are going out wanting to start your own business, do your own thing, save you a little headache, think about how you want to price things out. And I would say on a 1 to 10, this is probably like a 6 maybe. You'd think it'd be pretty easy, but to get everything square in the air upside down, it might be a little bit more tricky than you think, and getting it the way the person wants it too, right? So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Hope I helped you, and we'll catch you next time.